Reverend Charles William Webb never went to college, and was probably born at least the son of a slave, if not having been a slave himself. He never had a choice about which sports teams or facilities he could use, but by the 1920s, he owned a 7-passenger Buick, probably the only luxury automobile in Rockingham County, North Carolina, just across the state line from Danville, Virginia. And, without a college education, he built this church, which was built over a century ago, and, today, is listed on the National Historic Registry. And, when it came to his priorities, he believed that education was the most important thing, and history does not remember him for giving his life for an opportunity to play sports, or to use the restroom facilities, but as a franchise martyr, shot, and left to die in a dusty street for the right to vote. Mamie Lee Morton Webb was his wife, and she, too, believed in education as a priority. Miss Mamie Lee had obtained her baccalaureate degree from a historically black college, Elizabeth City State College, and had become a primary school teacher in a segregated schoolhouse in present-day Eden, North Carolina, and on the day that her husband was shot at a polling precinct, Miss Mamie Lee learned for the first time to drive an automobile, which, after hospitals in town after town, had turned her away. All the way to Richmond, she drove all the way to Philadelphia, with 3 small children and a dying husband, trying to save her husband's life. Her husband would live for 12 more years, but as a slave to an invalid condition, and Miss Mamie Lee assumed the role of primary breadwinner in that family, and had hoped that as a graduate of an HBCU, she could use her teaching credentials to gain employment in the city of brotherly love. But even though Cheney State College, an HBCU, was located just outside Philadelphia, and had been established in 1837, just like Lincoln University, established in 1857, the first HBCU to award a degree for completion, the city of Philadelphia, as late as the 1920s, had refused to recognize teaching credentials earned at a college for the colored, and she was forced to abandon her profession to become just a maid, where her earnings were so modest that the family had been forced to move from tenement to tenement flat, moving a total of 17 times while the children were growing up. Miss Mamie Lee wanted more than to just go to a bathroom, and she wanted more than just the opportunity to participate in sports for her children. Ursel Franklin Webb was the son of Reverend Charlie and Miss Mamie Lee, and, to save money to heat the tenement flats in which the family lived, it has been said that he walked 5 miles to and from school each day, to save money to purchase coal for the stove. Ursel worked hard in the public schools he had attended, and took on jobs as a tailor's assistant and as a weeder on a golf course, but, exceptionally intelligent, he was able to enroll at Philadelphia Central High School on North Broad Street, an elite public high school that the state had even permitted to confer a baccalaureate degree, which he had earned by the age of just 16. Through a family friend, a medical doctor, named Dr. Duff, Ursel was enabled first to attend the Philadelphia Bible College, and he became an assistant minister at the First African Baptist Church, under Reverend Charles Sumner Lee, a church predominantly for light-skinned Negroes, and after being ordained, Ursel became an assistant pastor at the Kane Avenue Baptist Church in Camden, New Jersey, while beginning to raise a young family. It was not until the 1944 that Ursel would be called to serve as a pastor at the Monumental Baptist Church in Jersey City, New Jersey, but he completed his bachelor's degree in St. David's, Pennsylvania, an affluent suburb of Philadelphia, at Eastern Baptist College, which would not permit him, as a Negro, to even sleep in the dormitories. When, years later, after he had completed his Doctor of Divinity and had become the first African American member of the Board of Trustees for that college and seminary, the stories of his sleeping at the Pauli railway station while completing his studies had become legend. In his life, he would walk with presidents, become a friend of Reverend Martin Luther King, Jr., and his father. His son in the ministry, Reverend William Gray, III, would serve as the House Majority Whip in Congress, and later as the president of the United Negro College Fund. He would integrate the New Jersey National Guard, as a chaplain, enduring the isolation of being given the silent treatment for years from fellow white officers, but he would rise to the rank of full colonel, serving as the state chaplain for the 50th Armored Division, and would be placed on the short list to serve as White House chaplain in the Nixon administration, a job which he would refuse on grounds of church and state separation, at the cost of forfeiting a general star, serving as the chief of all chaplains for the National Guard Bureau. And, although a good friend of Reverend Samuel Proctor, the former president of Virginia Union, and HBCU in Richmond, he would send his son to Washington and Lee University, the most competitive private college in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and, at least for him, earning a good education was far more important, in the long run, than participation on a sports team, or having a choice in use of restroom facilities. And this has been a Black History moment.
This message was approved by Major Mike Webb. Honest.